Hello, everybody, and welcome to Strong Style Stories. My name is Joel, but you're not here for Joel. Some of you have been very nice to me, and I really appreciate it, but you're not here for me. You're here for one person, and I'm going to give him a proper introduction. I've messed it up so many times. I'm so sorry. I got it right the first time, but I've messed it up so many times. So let me tell you a little bit about my friend Kevin. He is absolutely synonymous with Ring of Honor, having an incredible run there that is infamous. You may also know Kevin from his also epically infamous WWE run. It is my honor to introduce to you my friend, Kevin Steen, aka Kevin Owens. Welcome.
Joel, you've done it again. This is not Joel's finest hour, folks. This is amongst the many other hours that he's had. No, sir, your information is wrong. It's Kevin Kelly.
Well, what am I going to do with these notes?
Wait, did you write all your notes for the show as if Kevin Steen was the one who was there in New Japan from 2015 until 2023? That would be amazing. Get his thoughts on AJ Styles and Bullet Club imploding before our eyes at New Year's Dash.
I mean, we can try it. Kevin, what's it like working with El Generico?
He's lovely.
Well, I'm all hot under the collar now, so I'm just gonna have to take off my shirt and reveal reveal the Genius T-shirt. So those on YouTube, I've just unveiled a very, very nice pro wrestling tees, the Genius. Kevin's good close personal friend, Lanny Poffo.
God rest his soul.
Yeah, and we've been asked to name your favorite announce team. So this is me. This is me going. Our last episode, it was the 3-man booth of doom.
Yeah.
But on the good news, we're going to talk about New Year's Dash 2016, and the good news is Yoshi Tatsu got better.
He did. This was a so in this time, and thank you very much for repping the Genius. Lanny Poffo, and we'll get to it eventually, but I'll give you just a quick story. If you remember back in our Okada episode, the real reason why Okada left, I talked about the lovely gentleman named Michael Craven. Well, and those of you who were there, and why was Lanny Poffo on New Japan Comedy or commentary? That was such an odd fit. How did that come about? Well, Michael Craven grew up a wrestling fan, grew up a big Lanny Poffo fan, met him at All In, and asked him if he wanted to do commentary for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And of course, Lanny never wanted to turn a payday down. Said yes. Also, he had never done commentary since the 80s for Vince, and he hadn't watched New Japan. Other than that, he was perfect.
Yeah. We did get a comment on our YouTube saying Kevin is over-egging how bad Craven and May were. No, we're underplaying it. We are going to really go into depth. When the booker of the company is having a bit of a dance when they get fired, I do not think it's just blowing it up. And to be honest, Kevin's such a nice guy. He's actually going in easy. It's my job to bring out the evil in him, which I tried by getting an evil actor. Everything is evil. Spoiler alert. Everything is evil.
It is true.
It is. Speaking of evil,
so there was a conversation that we had one time, and I think it was like either pre-show or during the interview. I think it was before the show, and myself and Rocky and the aforementioned evil were having a pee, as it were. And I asked the question across the stalls, is everything evil? And he said, everything is evil. And I said, what about puppies? Evil. Kittens? Evil. And I said something else, some other cute thing, and he said, oh, very evil.
It's that type of insight you're going to get at Strong Style Stories. What's it like taking a leak with Evil and Rocky Romero?
It's evil.
It is evil. Just funny. Be awful. It's like everything is evil. Is that why it hurts when I pee?
Oh yes, very evil.
Very evil. Watanabe I think we may be talking about him quite a lot over the next couple of months.
We're gonna
He's an interesting guy.
Okay, you're also going to hear, now this is a spoiler for a later time. I'm not going to tell this story now, but this happened during Ring of Honor when he was with us on his excursion. And the brilliant editor, one of the editors of the Ring of Honor television show, had a concept show idea, a cinematic match, if you will, before there was a cinematic match. And one day, perhaps on a bonus episode, when I've had a lot to drink, you can ask me about it, and I will tell as best I can. I will, in fact, I may have to message him just to not get his permission, but remember some of the details. It was way out there, and our friend Evil was the central character. Yes,
you got to love a bit of Watanabe, and he was my first excursion guy that I saw basically from young lion all the way through to what he came out to be, and I took quite a lot of interest and pride. I did upload an image of me and Evil and Sonata, and unfortunately, I had to break it to them that I was a Chaos fan, and I said it's okay. Everything is evil. I'm okay being at Chaos. We don't have to have a disagreement. And he was very forgiving, and I very much appreciate that.
Yeah, but he's got a list. Don't forget.
Speaking of not forgiving, though, Kevin.
Speaking of lists, Kevin Steen. Hello.
Well, you wish you might be someone else, Kevin, because Wrestle Kingdom 20 card, and we did our little predictions. First of all, how did you feel about Wrestle Kingdom 20?
It was so nice. It really was. It was a nice show. It was the show that it needed to be. It was a celebration of the past 26 years with a strong look into the immediate future. And I have never come away with such a feeling of optimism as I feel now about these young kids. To put it in terms of sports franchise lingo, New Japan Pro Wrestling has decided to go the rebuild route instead of reload. They could go out on the market and spend and buy again a bunch of free agents, but instead they are relying on youth and homegrown talent to get them there, to pay off the investment that they have made, that New Japan Pro Wrestling has made in these young men. And it is working, and everyone is now where they need to be, with more on the horizon. And the Aaron Wolf story, I think, is going to be a huge one. Here's the caveat to everything great from Wrestle Kingdom 20. Now you've sold out the Dome. And now let's see what the road to New Beginning in Aomori looks like. You know what I mean? And let's see what a Best of Super Juniors looks like in a country town. Let's see what those houses look like. And I'm not saying because anybody's doing a bad job. I'm just saying that the household names that New Japan Pro Wrestling had for all those years are not there anymore. And now we're building new household names, but in some ways they may not be there yet. What's a Korakuen going to look like on the road to New Beginning? What is, let's make sure the anniversary show sells well. How will they honor the past when they really just did that? And they dropped in Cornet vernacular, they dropped the cow for this one. They did everything. Perfect.
They
beautiful.
threw everything at it.
It was beautiful. It was wonderful. You had an homage to Tanahashi's appearance at WrestleMania 3 as he once again rode on the chariot all around ringside. All that was missing was Andre and Heenan and throwing paper cups at him. Wait a minute. Melody disagrees with my point.
Melody is having a run in. She has been quiet for age. I don't know what she's barking at,
well,
but she
but that
can. She can do one.
as soon as he started on the chariot waving around, I was like, what a nice thing. What a good idea. But it did have WrestleMania 3 vibes for me. And Aaron Wolf is the crossover star that New Japan needs and might be the bridge that they need to support the houses between now and when these guys become household names. Because he is every bit the star and then some that we all thought.
Yeah.
And here we go. It'd be like, so this is what WWE does. And it's a great system. They'll go into the collegiate ranks and they'll sign athletes to NIL deals. Then they will offer them tryouts. And if they still are interested, yes, now they can learn how to wrestle and let's see what they can do. But we have yet to take the Olympic gold medalist from the Wheaties box, as we used to say. You know what I mean? The Olympian who's the household name, the big sports star from another genre, another athletic endeavor, and sign him into the developmental system and then have him debut on Raw or SmackDown. That hasn't happened since Mark Henry, since Kurt Angle. Okay. Aaron Wolf is like a Kurt Angle. And Aaron Wolf is a quick study like a Kurt Angle. And boy, did Kurt Angle help when Stone Cold and The Rock weren't around as much. And I think that things are going to be okay. They're going to be okay. But obviously now it's a very much a financial wait and see approach for New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
And we might see more involvement with some of the athletes that some of the CMLL athletes that AEW has signed. And because, again, if they hold their contracts in the United States, and I have a feeling like the New Beginning show in New Jersey is going to have a heavy influence of those guys, if possible, and we'll see what happens. But it was just a beautiful night. My picks could not have been more wrong. I do say, though, for all the applause and plaudits that I give to our friend Aaron Wolf, my best friend, your best friend, Aaron Wolf, he cheated. He's a dirty bastard, no good, lying cheater. And he should have been disqualified the moment he came out on that stage. The stipulations of the match were, if you lose, you get your head shaved, and you don't get to wear the judo jacket anymore. He comes out on stage with a shaved head and threw down the judo jacket. What the hell is that?
He's ruined the territory.
And
people were drawn to the match, and he'd already done the finish.
They did the finish in another town. Right. They did the finish in another town. And then they came to Tokyo, and they had to explain the finish, so they turned him babyface by having him come out. He shaved his own head. My God. How brilliant is this?
Or just had an accident. Maybe he went. Did he go to your barber?
How dare you? Gino hates that guy.
Gino does hate that guy.
So Gino went
for in the comments. He lit the comments up. I hate that guy.
1,100 yen. Not bad for a haircut. Set you back $25 here in the States. You know, this is equivalent to about $11-12, and you get a very nice, very detailed haircut with a lot of care and a lot of time. You're in the chair for a good 45 minutes. You're getting patted and primped and prodded and little fine scissor cuts. And it's not just zip, 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 you're out. This is detail. And
that's my friend.
Gentleman.
My friend Sam is the same. He does Premier League footballers' haircuts. So
exactly.
So that's how I do it. And his prices have gone up since he's done it, but he won't do it. I think I'm one of the good guys. Sam, you're busy, so I'm not going to advertise you for doing more haircuts, but I appreciate your cuts, mate. So a good barber is hard to come by.
And
as I can see now, Kevin.
Oh God, you're so mean. So and of course, throughout this show, we're going to continue to sing the praises of Gato. And obviously, how do we get ourselves into and out of a situation and make somebody an instant huge babyface? Well, they just did it. And
They face evil.
remember the Suzuki moment with him and Goto a few years ago, Wrestle Kingdom, hair on the line.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Suzuki
yeah.
lost, and he grabbed the shears out of the guy's hand and sat in the chair and shaved his own head. How badass was that?
Most things that he does is pretty badass, to be fair.
Yeah,
what
true.
a guy.
But Suzuki shows pictures of his socks, and I'm like, wow, that's so badass. I'm going to be at the pile driver shop from 8 to 6 today. Oh man, that's badass. Everything he does is badass.
My wife was like, "What kind of socks would you like?" Because obviously I'm at the age now where people buy me socks for Christmas and birthdays and stuff. And I was like, "Well, Minoru Suzuki likes stance, so I'm going to suggest that we go for them." And then we saw the price, and it turns out Mr. Suzuki is doing an incredible job at, at being himself, because my God, they are expensive. So he's either got cut a really good deal, or man, the indie, the freelancing is going very, very well for Minoru Suzuki.
Right.
Murder Granddad, as he's known over here.
Murder Grandpa is doing well as an influencer. So he's getting him
influencer Minoru Suzuki.
He's getting him at cost for the Harajuku shop. So let's not get panicky. But nevertheless,
a big fan of Hello Kitty.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right. So Aaron Wolf star, Yoda Tsuji star. Those are my takeaways.
Well, Despy won as well. We didn't call that.
No.
But they're building an event around him for GCW. I don't want to think about that.
Well, that's fine. Let me ask you a question. You don't give me credit for getting the semifinal, the IWGP title unification deal. You don't give me credit for getting that one right.
No, I got it right. Why?
No, you didn't. You picked Takeshita.
No, I didn't. I picked Yota Tsuji.
You're drinking on the job again. I picked Yota Tsuji, and you picked Takeshita because you love him.
No, I picked Aaron Wolf. Do you not remember? You told me that there was a message. I picked Aaron Wolf, so he's there. You picked Evil.
You did pick Aaron Wolf. I did pick Evil, and
we both picked Okada. So well done, you.
Well done.
Pat on the back for Kevin there.
That was
well
easy.
done, you.
Nobody's like.
Oh,
everybody.
You've got the main event right of the one thing that was almost certainly going to happen.
Right. Even Tanahashi himself would have told you. Yes, I am losing this main event.
Yes.
And again, not a blink of an eye from anybody in terms of the John Cena retirement match, and it was more the style in which he lost than the actual loss himself. But nevertheless, there were a lot of disgruntled patrons after that event, and everybody and their brother knew that Tanahashi was going to lose and Okada was going to win. It was not about Okada. It was all about Tanahashi. It was wonderful sportsmanship. It was an incredible show of love and loyalty both ways.
Yeah.
And I loved seeing Jay White. Oh, I loved seeing him. He's trimmed his beard, Joel. And I go back and I watch, because again, I've been deep diving into a lot of world footage. And I remember Jay White 2018 pre-beard, and I go, man, what a face. I don't care that he's a heel. He's such a handsome guy. Handsome heels get more heat because the guys want to see his smarmy face get slapped off of his head. And, once he went full beard and, long beard, then it was more of a
sleazy.
It was a little
sleazy
bit
heel. But
little different.
If you look at who he was, well, we'll get into sort of Bullet Club and stuff at a later episode, because they are even not existing. They're in the news. So I think Jay White, that era, he needed something because of who he was following was just almost unfair to give it to him. But he did a really good job, and people hated it. People genuinely hated him. I know there's a lot of UK podcasters that felt he was very vanilla and very boring and there. But in reality, that's kind of what he was doing because you wanted to see him get beat up.
Yes.
Like, you know, you can hate a person, and it might want you to. It might put you off the product or whatever, and that's like your prerogative. But the idea is that there'll always be a bigger star. The problem is, it's when that heel becomes the biggest star, then that comes a problem. Please see Sonada. But you know, we did all right with our pick'ems. ELP versus Chris Brooks. You went Chris Brooks. I went ELP.
Did.
Victory
I
for me.
got it wrong. It was more of let's see if we're going to continue to do business with them, or can we put these two together? We can put them together now. So Chris Brooks is not going to be gone forever from New Japan Pro Wrestling. In fact, just the opposite. Now he can come back and be ELP's partner, because ELP, his partner for
And he
all
might
this time,
need it
had
as
been
well.
Tanahashi. Yes, he's going to, and it would not shock me to see ELP and Chris Brooks somewhere in the tag title mix this year. We may
Well, he
see, who knows?
also, well, with Dash, he was on Takeshita, wasn't he? And he was referencing the G1. So then maybe that's that he needs backup. And Chris Brooks provides it. I think it's a great little ploy. And Chris Brooks in the G1 could be fun.
Chris Brooks in the New Japan Cup could be
Oh,
first.
you're even there you go. You're thinking even closer. I just forget everything and there's like, because I've got to plan my holiday around the G1.
I know
So
it does depend. It does depend on the field, on the size, the shape and scope. You know, again, I had pitched a few years ago like a 64-man tournament for the Continental Classic, which was utterly brilliant and could have been done, can be done by any wrestling company of any size, like say New Japan, because it involves a wild weekend of double shots to start, where, you know, you've got a daytime event and a nighttime event in the same venue. And then you break the 64 to 32, and then you start really with the New Japan Cup field that we did a few years ago and we have done prior. But we'll see how many people are going to be in it. I'm always a fan of these tournaments. I love the bigger the better. Upset specials. Let's have some brackets that allow us to, you know, chew our food over and have some questions, and maybe this one could be the surprise, or who knows who's going to knock who out. But yeah, I would expect to see the main players in Wrestle Kingdom be your main players in the New Japan Cup. That means Andrade. I think that we will see him for those big events, or at the very least, the final night, to come back and wrestle in a starring role in a multi-man that might set up a single match on the next tour.
yeah, and that's what Gato's pretty good at. He's very good at hand selecting his stars for the
Andrade,
tours.
for example, could be booked for the anniversary show, which means that he's in a title match at the end of the New Japan Cup tour. So let's say he knocks off a champion, and, you know, that might be, who knows? You know, it wouldn't be Yota Tsuji, because he would be facing whomever the New Japan Cup tournament winner is. But we shall see.
But also at New Japan Cup, he would be facing the junior heavyweight as well.
No, that's anniversary.
Anniversary. Did I say cup? In my mind, it was anniversary, and then I looked at my notes and I said cup.
And,
yeah, so for the anniversary,
and that's not something that they're married to. They've done it,
which is a shame, because I like it. I do like it. Yes, you know who's going to win, but I like it because they are able to tease substantial changes and all sorts. But
I don't want to
that
take any heat off of Doki.
your almost broadcast colleague and one of the longest feuds that ever happened at the announce desk without actually anything happening, due to I think Craven. Did he put the kibosh on that? I can't remember. I'll refer to the WhatsApp messages, Kevin. I will pull them out.
Go back to the time warp. Let's get in the time machine.
Yeah.
As you did so brilliantly, and let's go back and revisit those WhatsApp messages. In fact, we could do one episode where you read some of the WhatsApp messages that I sent you.
Yeah.
I give you permission. If you would like, Kevin, here's what you said on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was going through my photoshops. There are a lot of very, very funny ones that were made for just a select few in the New Japan locker room. So they will not be shared. But know that I was a very talented photoshopper.
They love
even
you.
Back in 2018. Damn it!
Hey, Joel, this is one to pop the boys. Here's what I want.
Yeah, Kevin directing me.
And I'm on the bus, and I would go, "Oh, you mean like this?" And the boys would look, "Ah!"
I found the first one, which is actually dreadful, which was the I broke Naito's leg, Zack Sabre Jr., which was the one I was promised some very nice New Era hats from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
If I would have been able to source said New Era hats, you would have had one.
Oh, well, we live with regret, which is how I consider your pick'ems, because Shuri
thank you
beat
shocked by that.
Kamatani.
I
wasn't shocked because
well, tell me why you were not shocked.
Because I felt that Kamatani's already won everything in the fact that she's this big star. You gotta have something to come back to, and if she won, where do you go? And they're talking about really elevating Stardom and really making it move. It was a very close. It was an incredible match. It was very, very close, and I really, really think that what they've done is sealed the deal for future events. It did remind me. I was thinking Okada Tanahashi vibes, because of how the great chemistry they had, and I was wowed by it because I'm not a Stardom fan. I'm not someone that goes out of his way to watch it. I tried a few times to get my kids into it, and it's a bit tricky. I might try again because they're big on the Japanese culture these days, so we'll see. But you did raise an eyebrow when I said it, and I was like, oh my god, have I done right? Because I didn't explain it.
Didn't see now here's my thought, and I agree with you 100%, because Kamatani is like the everything.
But Tokyo Sports Wrestler of the Year.
But this is Wrestle Kingdom. This is the time in front of a sold-out crowd where she dominates, and then that becomes, now even I've done the Tokyo Dome. Who's next? Who could beat me? Here we go with the next. And then you have them slip over on her in a tag, and then anything can happen. I much prefer for my big stars on a big media night to be the ones getting their hand raised. But in terms of where they want to go and a champion equal to, as far as talent with Shuri, I got no problems with it at all. That was my thought process, my rationale, because it's the freaking Tokyo Dome, and she hadn't been beaten there. She had won everything there.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's room to go back, and I think what they've got to do is, I think they're more getting a product over than the actual wrestlers themselves, because it does feel, it still feels very much like an attraction.
But if you've got a bunch of casuals, in the Dome, and a bunch of casuals watching for the first time on World or returning, right? And you don't, I'm not saying smash her over. I'm saying have her win and have her get her moment. But then the question becomes who's next? Who's going to be my next contender? That's the story coming out of it. And I'm never wrong. I'm never upset by saying that and leaving the event cold. Like, well, who's going to be next? Somebody has to be next. But my God, whoever it's going to be is going to have the Herculean challenge of beating the seemingly unbeatable.
Yeah, but great match. And but I will say something quite controversial. I think my hot take still is I'm not convinced by Aaron Wolf, just because I felt that some of the present. So did you see the Young Lions tag at the very, very start of the Dome?
I didn't see that.
So I was like, these guys are incredible. And then when Aaron Wolf came out, I was a bit meh, because when you presented, he came out like a young lion, and it felt like, okay, this presentation, something needs to happen to get him going. I feel like they are probably going to highlight him and give him a really strong outing at the anniversary show, because he is an Inoki signing, if there ever was one, in the fact that he's he's an Olympic athlete, which just ticks so many boxes for Inoki. So I feel like he's going to have a big one there. That might be where he loses the Never title, but they've given some momentum. And hey, in Gato we trust, but in Joel we trust, because I won the pick'ems. So
You did.
Until next year, Kevin.
You've done it again, Joel. And
Champion.
It will be, is he going to remake his physique? Because again, his judo body helped him win judo and is not shameful. He's not sloppy looking. But, again, is he going to become a washboard abs guy, or is he going to be Shinya Hashimoto? I don't have a problem if he's in his natural form. And now let's let him evolve and get because it's okay to beat him now. So I don't have a problem with beating him. I only had a problem with beating him at the Dome because I'm like, how are you going to get out of this? And they found the way to get out of it, because he basically said, you should beat me, and therefore I will come out with my head shaved and no more judo jacket.
And
now
a lot of like hip tosses and
yeah,
and that worked, and it actually worked really well. It reminded me of the it did remind me a little bit of the Ronda Rousey element of when she first came in and she hip tossed around.
I got no problems with that.
Yeah, you make it to their strengths.
You let them grow over time.
Yeah,
and the story with the young lion. Let's tell this for those who don't understand. So the young lion, of course, are the black trunks and the black boots. They're the trainees. They're the ground floor of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and it's always been this way since they started this dojo system, and it goes way back, of course, to pre-pro wrestling. This is sumo. This is everything else. This is working your way up. So the reason it's black trunks and black boots with no color is because there are no personalities here. You are just a blob of flesh. You are just a trainee. We're lucky we say your name. Then over time, and it's very fundamental formulaic matches. Then over time, they're allowed to insert some of their own moves that they would like to do, because they have shown proficiency in them at the dojo. You have demonstrated here in training you are good enough to do this move, so now you may do this move. And if there are steps backward, let's say, and a lot of this can be how they police the young lions, let's say.
Yeah.
If a young lion is getting a little lippy, if he's getting a bad attitude, if he thinks he's good, well, now guess what? You're going to come back and you're going to eat dirt for a little while. The finish, of course, is always the Boston Crab. And when you see a veteran wrestle a young lion, a lot of times they will beat them with the Boston Crab, because most of them came through the New Japan system. And those that didn't thumb their nose at the New Japan system by winning with a Boston Crab, I wasn't good enough for you, so I'm going to beat your guy with the move that is synonymous with the dojo.
And
So
that's
Aaron Wolf,
also why the Yota Tsuji finish is so
correct.
interesting.
Beautiful.
He beats Takeshita, taps out to erase Boston Crab, but again, Takeshita, you didn't come through our dojo. It's just a very, very good system and a really good way. And actually, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, Kevin. This is the most successful training system in professional wrestling.
I would
just
agree.
because of the results kind of speak to themselves, and it doesn't necessarily mean results of a Hulk Hogan level star. It's they're creating their own talent, they're creating their own money flow. It's like it's like an engine that they're like a flywheel, and it's constantly rotating through, and it works beautifully. And the way that they do it, there are a couple of young lions where you look at them, you go, this guy's going to be a huge star, and then you don't see them, and everyone, what's going on? Well, they've had a few issues. They've maybe missed a meal. They didn't clean something properly. There was a disciplinary issue.
Can I tell my Yoshitatsu story now?
Just the one, because
This is
I'll
one.
be honest with you, he was on the call. Yeah, go for it.
All right. This was told to me by TJP, and it was confirmed by Shibata.
Okay, so it's
Now,
gospel.
2008-ish, 2007. Whenever Yoshitatsu was in the dojo system, he was not doing well, according to Shibata.
Okay.
And Shibata routinely would beat Yoshitatsu up. When I say beat him up, drag him into the anteroom that there's a tanning bed in and a refrigerator and some other appliances. I think the washing machine used to be in there. I'm not sure. Now now it's a new look to the dojo, but anyway, this is the tanning bedroom, and that was where the door would close, and you would just hear this TJP, you would just hear a bunch of scuffling and slaps, and then you'd hear this weird sound, and the door opened one time, and the weird sound that they always heard was Shibata slamming the door of the refrigerator repeatedly into Yoshitatsu's head. This was a different time in New Japan and in pro wrestling in Japan. This was, we're going to physically beat the young lions up. There was a change a few years later during this time frame, whatever it was, 2008, 2009, there was a death of a trainee in, I think, All Japan. Or there was, there have been occasions where stories have come out that a sumo trainee died after a, brutal beating, whatever. So there was, we're not doing this anymore. This system is coming to an end. You can yell at them. You can scream at them all you want. Kind of, they've done the same thing with the military. You can't beat the recruits up anymore. And the drill sergeants went, "Oh, shoot." Now you can just yell at them. You can make them do squats and you can make them do whatever, PT, but you cannot beat them. So that was the word, and everybody's going along just fine, and no beatings are being had by anybody. Even Shibata's not beating up Yoshitatsu anymore. And then there was a press conference. They were doing a Young Lion event, not a tournament, but it was a Young Lion showcase event, and all the Young Lions were summoned to put a suit on and to be picked up at a certain time and go over to the TV studio where they're going to do this live thing on TV. And TJP is sitting next to Shibata at the dojo, and they're just watching the TV, and they're watching this Young Lion event. And the camera pans across, and you see all the Young Lions in their black suits, and their black suits, and their black suits. And wait a minute, that's Yoshitatsu. What's he wearing? He's not wearing a black suit, Joel. He's wearing some sort of anime costume.
Oh.
And Shibata said, "Okay." And he got up and he left. And we didn't see him. He didn't see him for a while, TJP. And the event ends. It was very quick. And then 15, 20 minutes later, the van pulls up. The bus pulls up, whatever it was, and out come the Young Lions, one after another. And Shibata walks over to the door. And as the Young Lions are coming in, 1, by one, by one, black suit, black suit. This is TJP sitting here watching this. Black suit, black suit. Well, here comes Yoshitatsu. He's down. And then you just heard fists, boots, everything. And Shibata drags him into the little anteroom. The door closes. And you just hear the refrigerator door being slammed on his head again. Over and over and over again. Yep. Now, we fast forward in time. And we go to the World Tag League. And Billy Gunn as the partner of Yoshitatsu.
No, poor Billy.
Yeah. Billy Gunn didn't know any of this, right?
No.
He got a New Japan booking. He was thrilled. He was like, this is going to be great. You know, I'm really appreciative. He really was. Like, for a bitter, sullen individual as my friend Billy Gunn is, who, by the way, got me my WWE job. I must say that it's contractual obligation. He was the one that got me my job. Nevertheless, he was paired up with Yoshitatsu and didn't understand. He knew Yoshitatsu, but he didn't know. He was like, oh, he's all right, whatever. We'll just have tag matches. It'll be fine. And everything's going along just great. He's in there with so-and-so and so-and-so, and they're having a match back and forth. And there was this one night. It was against Shibata and Yuji Nagata, I think.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And
I remember this now that you say it.
Billy Gunn is in there with Nagata. Oh, and they, you know, and the conversation before the match was everything easy, no problem. Yoshitatsu different. Okay. Again, Billy Gunn doesn't know any of this. He doesn't know the history. And they're in there working, and it's nice and smooth and feather light. And nobody's touching anybody. And all of a sudden, he goes over and tags Yoshitatsu. And he just sees the eyes change on the other side. And the drools start to come from their mouth. And every fiber in their being, every cell in their body, Joel, was focused on beating Yoshitatsu as hard as they possibly could. And Billy said he's on the apron and he's watching this and he's going, ooh, ow. God, why are they beating him so bad?
Billy just grabbing the tag rope, just half-heartedly going for the tag.
Oh, it was so nice. What happened? He didn't drop a spot. He didn't do anything wrong. Why are they beating this poor guy? I mean, he's kind of the shits, but why are they beating him?
So, do you know what the rumor was about that? Because this is bringing back a memory. I remember hearing
tell me
and
the
reading.
Rumor.
The rumor was that he was being punished for leaving of going to WWE. So that was the rumor. So but he went to WWE because he wasn't playing ball. He wasn't doing
No, he went to the WWE because he did not understand that when you are done as a young lion, you stay in New Japan, okay? He didn't know. So he went to WWE thinking, well, this is the next step in my wrestling career. Is it not? And the types of contracts that they were on at that time, they didn't think they needed to say, oh, by the way, you shouldn't go and sign with anybody else because you're not ready. You know, we'll make sure that you're finished. And when you get done with your excursion, and we're going to put you on the main roster, and then you'll be on these annual contracts, and then it's up to you. But the understanding is that because you're in Japan, that when you get a contract, when you start getting contracts, you'll always get another contract. They'll never not present you with a contract, but they will either increase or decrease your money depending on what they think your worth is. Okay.
So your Naito being the easiest comparison note, the fact
correct.
that
the reason Naito left, he was presented with a contract that they said, because of your diminished skill set and your inability to remember matches anymore, and yes, you're still a star, but now you're going to be here financially. And he was like, screw that. And a lot of guys have said that. That's their time to walk away. You know, when Nakanishi walked away, why? Why did he walk away? Why did he retire? Because he didn't want to be on the roster anymore in his limited capacity that he was, and be making what he felt like was an embarrassing level of money that's not really worth it. He banked his money. He's okay for retirement. I got enough. I read the writing on the wall. I don't need to be here. Adios. Some guys hang on forever. That's just the way, whatever they want to do. But nevertheless, so Yoshitatsu now, who's been away from New Japan for all these years, comes back, and this being the first time, because they were both baby faces, right? Tatsu's baby face,
Yeah.
Shibata's baby face, Nagata's a baby face. This is the first time they got to face anybody. And Billy Gunn was just like horrified at the brutality that these two lovely gentlemen had unleashed on this poor Yoshitatsu. Then after the match was over, I guess at dinner later that night, they told him what happened and why. And he totally understood. But I was like, so when I saw him on the bus at, for Dome, I said, hey, how about that Yoshitatsu, huh? How about that match with Shibata? Kevin, oh my God. Again, I've known Billy Gunn since 1991. So he and I have always had a great
I can
relationship.
imagine that was a bit of an eye-opening experience for Billy Gunn. Also, the fact that you don't book a 6'5" jacked up Billy Gunn. I just remember he's just towering over everyone, and it was wonderful to watch because it was like big man back in the saddle, and didn't help Yoshitatsu's career, unfortunately.
No,
but but because of that, he lent into the Hunter bit of the Bullet Club Hunter, so just started dressing. It was a Triple H cosplay,
and the reason for the partnership was because of, in the mind of, let's see where this can go. Maybe we can kind of turn Yoshitatsu and Partner to be determined into sort of the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Where they were good guys who did bad.
Yeah,
they've done that before with Nagata with his what was the name of his faction? It just left my freaking head. Oh, Blue Justice. And so there were agents of Blue Justice who were doing necessarily bad things, quote unquote, but for good reasons. And that, from what I understood, was part of the rationale of where this could have gone with Yoshitatsu, but instead it just fizzled and died. And let's put him with Captain New Japan as Bone Soldier, and then we can say goodbye to all of them.
Well, we're going to talk about New Year's Dash, but there's one thing that I've not asked you, who was clearly, in my opinion, the guy out of the Young Lions of a similar time frame that actually highlights the issue, and unfortunately he's no longer with us. Kitamura.
Right.
Because everything about him was, okay, this is a can't miss. This is quite incredible. And then he just started going further down the card, and there was some issues there that maybe we'll talk about further down the line. But when we mentioned the dojo system, he's the first person that I thought of, because that's what I was doing. I was getting up the roster of the time to see who was in it. It was Kawato, Master Wato, Oka, Great Okan, and Kitamura, and you just were like, well, out of the three of them, Kitamura is probably the one. And unfortunately, no longer with us. But maybe we'll do a big deep dive into the Young Lions, which brings me on to New Year's Dash 2016, 5th of January. 1,726 people in the Korakuen Hall, which for those watching is my background. And unfortunately, Matt Stryker is calling them young boys quite frequently. Ooh, get the young boys. It's not going to age well, Matthew.
It's
not
a
going to age well.
pejorative, but it's not factually inaccurate.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. It's a choice.
It is.
It's a choice. Which is another thing that Yoshitatsu smiles and says, Kevin Kelly wants to join Bullet Club.
I do.
That is at the start of the show. Genuinely something he says.
I think it was a thread that he was looking to hang on to through the entire show with no payoff, much like my desk side feud with Doki.
I'm not having that. It did pay off.
Okay.
Because
I forgot the payoff. I blacked out for most of this. I'm not going to lie.
So the payoff, I've even had to go to the other side, was the main event, the Never Six Man. Because of where the English commentary booth is, that's where the heels come out of.
Yes.
The Bagos, the Rudos. So Fale, Matt Striker's very keen to join Bullet Club. He's too sweet in anyone with a black t-shirt and skull on it. You too sweeted Bad Luck Fale.
You got to.
I figured you might say that. He next to walking down that aisle, it looked like he was wearing Korakuen Hall.
Yes. I will say this, and I've said this on commentary in New Japan many, many times, because Fale would always throw up the too sweet, and I would always too sweet him. And whoever I was with said, "Oh, you're joining Bullet Club?" Listen, the answer is this. When Fale throws you up the too sweet, you too sweet the man, okay? He's that large. And he could tear me apart. He would split me in half like that. He'd grab one leg, grab the other leg, and just tear me asunder. And that would be the end of me. So I don't wish to die in that way.
Yeah. Do you remember the time when you stitched me up with Fale?
How did I do that?
His documentary series, which is well worth a watch, that was on New Japan World, where he's got the New Zealand dojo and the drone shots of New Zealand's just beautiful, and it's
loved it. I loved every moment of that series.
Yeah, so much so that you said, Fale, my friend Joel, the one with the Photoshop, he works in TV. He'll get you a deal. You put the fear of God in me. Don't tell Fale I'm going to do something for it. He'll find out where he lives, where I live, and he will get me. That man is big.
I'm trying to help you make money, and this is how you treat me?
No, you were trying to get me killed. You're just like, this guy has a life insurance policy. This guy's got a Lloyd's of London. I'll send Fale his way.
Like
Good Lord, what were you playing at? That was a dark time.
I wanted you to ingratiate yourself with what I felt like was one of the opportunities to grow our international brand and to get some television exposure for a really well done series. That was all my methodology was. Forgive me for wanting to assist my friend Fale and help the company grow and help you grow in your position, Joel.
Dear Lord.
Let me ask you this. History now is our indicator of truth. Were you able to secure him a television deal for this show? Yes or no? No.
My monitor. My monitor's got...
Did you die?
No, but he didn't.
Did you die? Were you met with any physical harm?
He did. To be fair, he did email. He did not email me. But yeah, many
he didn't even reach out.
He didn't reach out. Maybe he was scared of me because I bring the strong style to strong style stories.
I know you do.
Yeah. Speaking of strong style, Nakanishi, Taguchi, Kanaka, Sho Tanaka, and Nagata face Cheeseburger, Liger, Tiger Mask, Yohei Komatsu, and Fujiwara. My God. Now
the opportunity of having Cheeseburger and Fujiwara. Of course, this was a an 8-man tag or a 10-man tag predicated on what we had seen the night before in the Rambo. So Fujiwara was one of the specialties, one of the surprises, and as was Cheeseburger, and the opportunity to see Cheeseburger and Fujiwara on the same building, on the same team, in the same building, to me was too awesome because Fujiwara could kill Cheeseburger, and there was always that, hint of death that was in the air whenever these two were together.
Korakuen Hall loved Cheeseburger.
They did.
The chants were insane. And unfortunately, the commentary was 98% burger jokes from Master.
I know.
And then you had to go, you're worse than Carino. I'm trying. But
now, here was an interesting, this was my first time in Korakuen Hall. Okay. So Korakuen is the historic venue for wrestling in Japan.
Yes.
Fans will go for Wrestle Kingdom, and which is right next door, but then they will see at least one wrestling show in Korakuen Hall, right? And you do that because it's like church. It's not the biggest, it's not the nicest, it's not there's nothing wrong with Korakuen Hall at all. There are beautiful sight lines, and the arena is well lit, and everybody runs there. And no matter what it is, if you're a fan of Japanese wrestling, you have a moment in time of something that happened at Korakuen Hall that harkens you back to your fandom or to your childhood or to your tape trading days or whatever it might be. And now you get to go to this historic venue. And when I went over with the boys. So I was not announcer, but I was. We went over with the boys, the foreigners, because we stayed at the Tokyo Dome Hotel. So Stryker and I walked over from the hotel, followed whoever we needed to follow because we didn't know how to get in. It's not like an easy building for us to figure out because there is like a back way in. Well, how do I see it? You can't see it from the TGI Fridays. You got to go around the back, and then there's this little secret, quiet little stairwell that you take, and then there's a door, and you open that, and you go down the hall, and the elevator takes you up to the 4th floor, and that's where the locker rooms are. And when you come out of that elevator, to your left is where the baby faces do their post-match comments. Okay? And then straight ahead of you is the main locker room with the different factions having their own room. Okay? So, and as you go through, so the babyface entrance is upstairs, one flight of stairs to the 5th floor, which is the arena floor.
Mm-hmm.
And this picture is actually taken from the 6th floor, Joel, which is at the top of the orange seats. And that is where the fans enter for that side and also where they go downstairs and everybody leaves. Okay. So it's my first time there, and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Okay. This is amazing. This is so cool. Well, because it's post Wrestle Kingdom, everybody and their brother is booked on this show. And the locker rooms in Korakuen ain't very big. And so me and Bullet Babe are sitting next to each other in the hallway, and we're like this. Hi, how are you? Oh, we're doing great. Yeah. Well, what did you think? Oh, I thought it was fantastic. Isn't this fun? Oh, yeah, this is great.
To be fair, and it came out even into the Korakuen itself because it was like I think for this one, Korakuen at 1,700 people is pretty tight.
Jam.
And you were sandwiched in between two wrestlers. I know Matt Stryker hadn't wrestled for a little bit, but still two decent sized dudes, and you're basically taking up an aisleway where the heel wrestlers are coming out of, and the genuinely the heels are normally the biggest guys on the roster, cramped, and yeah, you do not want to be claustrophobic in that place.
No. You're sitting in a very small chair. It's a fold-out chair, right? The plastic chairs that you see. Those of you watching on YouTube, you could see the plastic chairs. And we sit on one of them, and we have this table that's butted up right up against us, right? And you have no room to either your right or left. Now, over time, of course, with a 2-man booth, I made sure to position myself with a little bit of escapability out to my right, which would be to camera left as we look over your head. And that allowed me to at least not feel claustrophobic. But yes, I was praying for death at this show because I was so claustrophobic. And again, I want to sit in the middle with a 3 because I want to play traffic cop. But this car was going careening off of the, cliffside and was going over and was going to crash. There wasn't anything I could do to save it. Just get through it. So anyway, this is first time at Korakuen Hall, and it's also the first time that I have to call Yo and Show, but they're on opposite teams.
Yeah.
And so I am looking at the monitor, which is extremely small, does me no good. I need to look this way to the ring so I can actually see what's going on because of the angle, because of how cramped I am. I can't really look at the monitor, so I've got to watch the action. And I couldn't tell Yo from Show because they were similarly dressed, same looking hair, and flying. They're doing a crisscross spot, and I've lost track of who was who. So when one hit the crossbody on the other, I had to correct myself because I got it wrong. And I was like, oh my God, it was the weirdest building to call wrestling in because of where we were, the angle to the ring, the pressed up against, no room to move. And it was, again, your first time there, so you don't know what to do. The night before, Tokyo Dome, we had plenty of room. We could move around. We had room behind us. We had room to our right. It was fine. But Korakuen was a tight squeeze for a first timer here. But we made it through.
So Korakuen reminds me of York Hall. So I've been to York Hall a lot. So when I've seen you in York Hall, it was for probably the TV taping for Rev Pro. I think that might have been the only time that you were there.
We did Ring of Honor there too.
Blech. I don't count that. Fake news. Yeah, but Ring of Honor was there, I suppose.
That was the first time I was there. Then
how many people were there for that Ring of Honor show? Because I've been there when there's been legitimately about 1,200 people there, and I would say it's pretty tight at 900, 950. So 1,200 people in there is tight.
Whatever sellout was, that's what we were.
Yeah. So well,
and they had us not different from where Quilden would have us set up when we called Rev Pro shows there. We are at the back of the ringside seat section, butted up against the stage. And I was in the middle with Carino to my left and Nigel to my right.
So it's saying that capacity is 1,250. So around 1,200. That's probably at the limit. In a summer sizzler on those school plastic chairs, it is uncomfortable. And the queue for the bars, it's probably comparable. Korakuen Hall and York Hall's very, very similar. I would say Korakuen Hall's
and equal in terms of goal for a young wrestler who would like to wrestle in historic venues. That, I got to wrestle in a Korakuen Hall. Yes, I got to wrestle in York Hall. So it's saying something when you make it there.
So I bought my friend for Christmas Immortal Collectibles. Vinny, hello, thank you for being a friend, but also being a fan and listener and watcher. I got him for Christmas. I got him Rev Pro DVDs that had matches with big stars on it that I knew he'd have. So I had Rey Mysterio, I had the Kurt Angle, I had the one with AJ in the three-way. There was someone else. It might have been the Nakamura one. I can't remember. But I got him 4 DVDs, and the reason being is I was like, it was with Vader. That was the other one.
Okay.
So I was like, this is why people wanted to go here, and I wanted him to see that experience through these other things that were going on, because whilst it can be a tough watch because of the video and audio quality, etc., it is historic, and everyone on those cards has become either a TV wrestler or a bit of a king of the indies, kind of, has made a living pretty much. And it's quite incredible when you look back. And to be honest with you, on this card, Seidel and Ricochet defeats Finlay and Jay White. Seidel and Ricochet defeated 2 leaders of Bullet Club.
Just right, who were young lions at this time.
Yeah, so they beat them in 6 minutes 46 seconds, 3.5 stars. Dave gave it, etc. But what's so important about that is I've seen all of them wrestle in York Hall, including Finlay, and Finlay doesn't really travel that much.
No, he doesn't.
I'm pretty sure I saw him, but it might have been around Royal Quest. I can't remember. Um, Almost certainly seen all four guys in York Hall. These guys would have loved going off against each other, and I think Ricochet and Sydal worked really well. And you could see with Finlay and Jay White something special. I probably would have circled Jay White out of the two, but Finlay's had that longevity, and he's stayed and has probably the ultimate heel in the Rebel, as
The
Godo would
Webble.
say,
The
is
world
the
needs a
long
Webble.
term. Yeah, has it's been pinned to. Oh, both managed by Gado. How about that?
That's right.
And then you got the non-title match. Now this one's interesting because it's you guys. You were very important to this match because you were able to weave in some Ring of Honor lore. LORE, not LAW. Ring of Honor lore is Stooge to Greg. Jay Lethal with Truth Martini, who trained Juice Robinson originally, which is unique because Juice Robinson is also considered a young lion. He's in the dojo system, but he didn't have his hair shaved, but he was still part of the dojo system.
Quick, put a pin in that. We'll explain why Juice was there and what his role was as a quote-unquote young lion. So as he had signed WWE, developmental, he goes to FCW, and NXT in its infancy, runs its course, feels like he needs to go and spread his wings. Matt Bloom agrees, and Matt Bloom makes a call to his friend Tiger Hattori and facilitates Juice matriculating on over to Japan. Juice wanted to live in the dojo. Juice wanted to train with the young lions. Juice wanted the hard road. He did not want the easy road because he had too much respect for the wrestling business and too much respect for the history of New Japan, too much respect for one of his mentors in Matt Bloom, who meant so much to him, and he wanted to show that he was a hardworking guy who was going to learn everything that they had to offer from the ground up. And from what I was told, he was like, if you need me to shave my head, I will. And they said, no, keep your hair because it's so neat. You don't have to do black trunks. You can wrestle with color because we're going to make you babyface, but it's okay to train in the dojo and to be quote unquote a young lion. But he did all the duties, loading the bus with the bags and washing of the clothes and helping prepare the meals and cleaning the dojo and all those things. So yeah, it was a great time for him. He debuted his signing announcement was at the press conference right before our first event at King of Pro Wrestling, where Stryker and I at La Cura sat out and we didn't have any translator to tell us what was being said from the Japanese who were doing the announcements about the matches. Juice was one of the few people we could understand, Juice and AJ Styles. And Juice said, I'm coming to New Japan. I'm going to be here, and I'm really excited to be here, and thank you very much for having me. And then he made his debut at Ryogoku the next day or whatever it was. So anyway, continue. Juice Robinson.
So yeah, Juice Robinson, and it's a 7-minute match, but Juice definitely popped off. Now I've said previous episode that I think if he stuck it out, he was going to be a world champion in this place because that crowd go absolutely crazy for him.
Loved him.
And this wasn't just in Korakuen Hall. You can that's a really good sign that you are doing something right. But every tiny town, someone would go nuts for him, and I was like, this guy is pretty cool. And it's even great that how much respect and you had for him, and he came out good considering he was trained by Truth Martini.
Right, and that was one of the threads of the match, as you mentioned, because Truth Martini trained Juice. One of Truth's co-trainers, Jimmy Jacobs, they had a bet that Juice would be signed 1 year after starting. So the minute that they saw him and he started training, the two of them came up with this bet that said Juice is going to get signed within a year. He technically did. The bet wound up being a push. He got signed within a year, but then didn't debut until after it had been a year. So there was a little bit of gentleman's agreement to saying, well, we're both right. We did. So, but yes, so Truth knew everything about Juice Robinson, and he was able to instruct the world champion Jay Lethal on what needed to be done to defeat Juice Robinson, and he was able to do so.
Which was to distract the ref and hit him with the Book of Truth.
Yeah. Why would you do anything else other than the most basic house show finish?
Yeah. 7 minutes 11 non-title match. Pretty cool. But what I quite liked about the next match was...
and again, nobody knew what the card was. Nobody knew what the card was. We didn't know the card until we got to the building that day. The card announcement starts with the ring announcer who's reading the matches off to the people.
Yeah, the bell rings, and it's it is everything announced, and it's I can imagine if you're trying to make notes, it's quite difficult because you are so relying on the and listening for what is effectively a full stop. And because I think sometimes he does it can be done at quite a pace.
Oh, he's got to read he's reading 8 to 10 matches worth of stuff, and is doing so in a quick manner, and not reading it like a ring announcer would, where he's dramatizing it, but rather just reading it matter-of-factly, as they would any card change. Anytime there is a card change in New Japan or in Japanese wrestling as a whole, the ring announcer makes that announcement ahead of time. And, so-and-so cannot wrestle because of injury. So-and-so cannot wrestle here tonight. His replacement will be so-and-so. So it's going to be in this match. It's going to be so-and-so and replacement versus them and them. And we apologize for any inconvenience, and we thank you for being a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And it's said that quickly. So we got to pay attention. There's news coming out as Abe-san gets ready to speak. And then he, starts to read. So that's the pace at which he reads the card.
And what's coming next, I think, shocked a few people in the fact that Gallows and Anderson didn't shock that many people. Tama and Yujiro, not shocked. King Haku, I don't think people were expecting that. And Matt Striker was a little bit like, like he was like, I can't believe King Haku is there.
Haku is going to be there to kill people.
Yeah. Really interesting that Yoshitatsu stopped being the Bullet Club hunter for that entrance. He went within himself whilst they came out.
He was taking an introspective moment.
Yeah, he was. Yes, as he did for all of Wrestle Kingdom.
I know. Jesus Christ. Is it over yet?
Yeah.
This is the most important show. This is the most important show that sets the tone for everything that we're going to see in New Japan Pro Wrestling for the next 3-4 years. That changes everything in the wrestling business, that becomes the launching pad for AEW. And I want nothing more than at this point to get out, because I am dying. I am dying on this show. I am claustrophobic, squashed in with these commentary guys. I could have worked with Stryker just fine, but I got to have Yoshitatsu there, and I'm screaming internally. Now, remember this. We don't know any finish. We don't know anything that's going to happen. They don't tell us. We don't ask. And we figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, this one, you guys were very good at getting over the fact that obviously Gallows and Anderson lost the night before, but they get the win back against Great Bash Hill, Kushida, and Tenkoji, so Tenzan and Kojima. And that's a big win in the fact that you've got Tenkoji, so Tenzan, who retired and he went out, went out and he let Tanahashi have it. Your good close friend Tenzan.
Hey, Kevin, Happy New Year.
How's the family?
Kevin's on. Happy New Year.
You got Kojima, who for longevity is probably one of the best wrestlers that Japan have ever produced, and he's still going and
New
absolutely
Japan product, by the
incredible.
way. Both of them New Japan
Yeah,
products, homegrown.
New Japan products that went elsewhere, but have still got that respect that New Japan aren't salty about it. Though Tenzon's probably more of a loyalist than Kojima, but well, Kushida, who's a junior,
He's a punk from Hustle and should quit the business.
yeah, and Great Bash Hill. So big win for Bullet Club. The minute King Haku came out, I think everyone in that match was like, I think we're going to let them win. So that was 11 minutes, 10 seconds.
Could have been the ultimate.
But
That's not going to work for me, brother. If he wanted
yes,
to,
yeah, if he wanted, he was just. But it was weird because he was smiling because he was just happy. He loved it, but he was so happy to be. And I was like, "There's something really scary about King Haku smiling."
And of course, and we know, of course, the story. Haku is the father of Tama. Tangaloa, Hikuleo.
Yeah.
But the bond that Haku has with New Japan is through Tiger Hattori. That when Hattori was the manager in Florida and he was Prince Tonga back in the day, that was how they became friends during Haku's rookie years and stayed close, frequent for New Japan tours all throughout his career, and is forever a loyalist of New Japan Pro Wrestling. There was no question when his sons decided to enter wrestling. And again, Haku and Mrs. Haku, the second toughest person in the business, we always said, the sons were not just automatic second generation, you guys are bred to be wrestling champions. No, we don't want you in wrestling. You need to go do something else. And
military service.
Once you do something else, if you decide that you want to do wrestling, okay, then we can have the chat. But you're not just going to walk out of high school and go become a wrestler. I'm sorry, that doesn't work for us. So Tama went into the Air Force. Tangaloa played college football at UTEP University. Yeah, he went to UTEP. Hikuleo played basketball in college. And all of them, Tama in the military, when he gets done with his service, they're all working regular jobs. And decided, let's get into this wrestling thing.
And what's weird for me is I can't see Tama without the family. It was really weird to go back because I can't imagine them not being together. But here they are. Is you got Haku and you've got Tama, but there's two people missing, more notably one. But interestingly, Hikuleo did his excursion over in the UK. So we'll get some stories and stuff. And, he's easiest one of the loveliest. Oh, I think all three of them are. I've only got Hikuleo experience.
Lovely.
What an absolute lovely guy, and he's what an incredible job he's done raising these boys because they're absolutely incredible, and
they're great. They're great.
The fact that
great guys. Tama's a little nutty, but that's just part of his charm.
I mean the face paint that he did was so cool and different.
But that's how
that feels like it's him.
And he was raised, all the boys were raised not being exposed 24/7 to pro wrestling. Okay? It wasn't a thing in their house. It was a job that Dad had. Okay? Dad would come home after his time at work, and then we would just be this normal family, and then Dad would have to pack his bag and leave and go do his job again. But it wasn't like they lived and died with every wrestling, they didn't have wrestling T-shirts from every company. They probably followed it. I mean, we're not ignorant. They probably knew what was going on, and they had a feel for it. But again, when Tama creates his own wrestling character, he does it from a place of his own creativity, not from, I had seen somebody do this before and I thought it was cool in wrestling. he may have lifted it from a movie. He may have lifted it from, a book, a comic, something that he had been exposed to, and that was his thought process to the character that he created. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I think, makes it very unique.
And he, the way he just did the rope running thing where he just would stop and sort of slide and spin round, and you're like, he fit perfectly into that Bullet Club, and it meant that
Mm-hmm.
actually being behind those characters, he could grow and become what is effectively, we're going to talk about God and their noise, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking forward to talking about it. But this is the first time, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the first time Anderson grabs your headset and starts talking in which is one of the charms of the English commentary is the fact that
Mm-hmm.
there was a live mic. So you present
Yep.
a mic and you were able to get
But at this point,
live feedback.
they hadn't figured that out yet.
No, but this felt like it was going to this felt
Right.
like, oh,
Where
that's actually quite cool.
where they decided to give me a handheld microphone at ringside was after Will Ospreay won the Best of Super Juniors, and I put my headset on his head so that Carino and I could talk to him, and he could speak to the crowd, the audience watching, to say thanks and all this and that. It means so much to win this, and he said with you guys here and everything, it just means a lot. And then they decided, well, that's not good audio. Let's give Kevin his own handheld mic that he could stick in front of the wrestlers' faces. Brilliant. Yuji Kitano, my man, he came up with that, and it became a mainstay of what we did. But yes, Shadow always had, license to take headset off head, said this is the first dash that I'm not hungover at, I think is what he said.
I'm not a
And
champion at as
I'm not
well.
a champion at.
So
So
he really laid in of how down he was with not having the titles and everything, and it was very cool because you were like, okay, well that's over, and it wasn't. And I liked the fact that he picked it up and he talked into head. It felt very it felt unique from a New Japan product because we weren't getting. You got Liger on commentary on the other side. You're like, I would quite like to hear what he has to say, Chono, and it was really cool to have that. And I had that noted of the fact that
it was like, ooh, I think we're on to something here. And again, it was something that we did with Ring of Honor all the time. If we have proximity, why not get the sound? So, yeah. So it was
yeah.
wonderful. And those guys, of course. So this was, my second tour now, and they were great to me the first time. They led me by my hand and got me through the whole first thing. Matt Seidel as well. Seidel was super gracious and just helping me to be where I needed to be and go stand over here. And here's where we get the bags, Kevin. And then we got to go out this door and we got to look for so and so. It was just from the minute that I landed, I had somebody who was watching over me and helping me. So those guys were great.
So speaking of great, Singanables de Japón, Bushi, Evil, Naito defeat Tanahashi, Mascara Dorada, and unfortunately he wasn't there for the Wrestle Kingdom 20. Was Michael Elgin, former tag partner of Tanahashi. This was a really good way. This was a really good way of getting a little bit buzz going for Lij because they were having they were going to be a very important part of Gado's booking throughout
we didn't
the
know
next.
how because, again, the night before Wrestle Kingdom, we anticipated that Naito was going to be the winner over Hiroki Goto. And here we are now chewing on a loss with this guy who had basically thrown away his New Japan heritage. Had he lost his mind? What had happened? Was it a Shawn Michaels, he lost his smile sort of thing? There was all this speculation, and he's come back now as this anti-hero, Lij, and big moment at the Tokyo Dome, and he lays an egg. So there you go.
But it's faction feuding, throughout the year, and Lij was an important part, I think, of drawing. And I know I revealed my evil Super Sevens on one of the on a little bonus YouTuber, but I have a Bushi, and it is the coolest figure you've got, because Bushi is someone that invests very, very heavily in his look, his character, how he presents himself. Just from the fact that when I met him for the first time, he'd just wrestled. His mask was still immaculate, and there wasn't a single chip on his, because he does the fingernails brilliantly black. You'd assume maybe they'd be like chipped, it would be no, perfect. And you're like, this guy just presents himself like a star. And I think that's why Lij was such a merch mover, was just how much, yes, they're saying tranquilo, but they really did care about the look and how they were perceived. And
Well,
I thought,
by the way, so here was the perception of Bushi at the time. All the foreigners hated him. Okay.
okay,
Now, and this is in the era of, the Bucks, Rocky, Seidel, Ricochet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason that the foreigners hated him was because Bushi was very vocal about, and it was either at a press event or, post-match comments, something, where he basically took a shot with a very broad brush at all the foreign juniors coming over. And that basically we don't need them and we're better than them. And everybody was like, this is Bushi talking like this? He's terrible. So everybody collectively hated Bushi. And of course, with Rocky there as my so frequent commentary partner, it was easy for me to get him to tell that story over and over and over again. Why do you hate poor Bushi so much? What did he ever do to you? I hate that guy. Are you joining Lij? God, no. I hate Bushi. It was like, Michael Scott in The Office with Toby from HR. But that was the genesis of it. Was Bushi knocked all the foreign juniors, and the foreign juniors said, "Screw you."
again, it's like he knocked all the foreign, thinking I'm going to work with them, and then everyone kind of got worked into it. Guys, he's he's working, and
But
that's
there
one
was
of.
no, but so maybe, and I never got this side of the story. Maybe there was a little bit of, hey, what's up with that? Or maybe he didn't come to them afterwards, just working, No, it was none of that. It was stiff shot and okay,
But it
that's
was
how we're
done
going to
through
be.
the press. It was printed in Tokyo Sports, I think. So in many ways, it's not a press conference where you just go to the back and say, "Oh, by the way, I've been talking smack. Don't worry."
Right. Yeah.
This was done in interviews and build-ups. But what
it
they're
was in the
doing is that,
papers.
yeah, they're in the papes, sending them papes. They were basically they were trying to get a buzz, and it worked. And I think that there are some people in the industry, from some of the stories that you have, that just wind me up. Where it's like, guys, it's a show. This is all about this is working. It's like Bret
Let's
Hart
remember.
taking shots at
Yeah,
Shawn Michaels.
I
It
know,
doesn't
but he
matter. It's
does.
business. Yeah.
But let's remember too that Bushi was an All Japan guy, right? And Rocky had trained with Antonio Inoki. He came from the LA dojo. He was every bit a New Japan guy. He was not a quote unquote foreigner. He was part of the fabric of the junior division. And that shot, which Rocky was lumped into, was disrespectful on that big a spot. And so everybody who, of course, they all had Rocky's back and they all stuck together. It's like, you're going to say that about Rocky Romero? So you can say
Yeah,
whatever you
without
want about
naming.
me. You
Yeah.
can say whatever you want about me, but don't talk about Rocky like he's some interloper. He's some carpetbagger. This guy was trained by Antonio Inoki. He was from the LA dojo.
Yeah.
And you weren't good enough to get into New Japan. You had to go to All Japan. And only because you're friends with Naito is the reason you're here.
Yeah. Well, I remember when he won the junior title for the first time, the shock Everyone went, what? And you're like, it felt very. There were a few people that were always very shocked when they picked up. I remember Despy winning it. People went, what? I'm like, he's the coolest guy. I can't understand this the disdain for these guys. And but you know, Bushi was there as the pin eater for Lij, but the guy needed to get some heat somehow because
we're spending a lot of time on this when we've got other news that's coming out of this show.
we are. Who knew Bushi would get such a big feature in this? But next match, Bullet Club, AJ Styles and Kenny Omega defeated the Chaos team of Nakamura and Yoshihashi.
Yes.
The Bag of Socks himself against Nakamura. So AJ Styles and Kenny Omega won. That's huge. Maybe they could go for what a great team. Maybe they could go for the tag titles. Maybe they could really go what a great team they were, Kevin.
You've got the junior heavyweight Kenny, you've got the former IWGP heavyweight champion AJ. The sky is the limit for these two. Maybe this is the backbone of Bullet Club for the years to come, and no.
So before we get into the meat and veg of this all, Matt Striker can't say Yoshihashi. Yoshihashi.
Yoshihashi.
He says it like I'm like it was like it's like some kind of smoking device. I'm going to smoke on my Yoshihashi.
Yeah, it was like the translation of what he heard from the chants for the people, Yoshihashi, Yoshihashi, Yoshihashi. That's all I could figure. So, as we left you in our last episode, there was a big change that was brewing. And this is the epicenter of this. The night before at Wrestle Kingdom, the two matches that involved AJ and Omega. Omega wrestled Kushida for the junior title, was losing the junior title, and instead of being beaten clean by Kushida's finisher, he got rolled up. And the reason he got rolled up is because they wanted to protect him a little bit, because the belief was that AJ was going to stay with New Japan for another year, but changed his mind and told them just before Wrestle Kingdom that he was going to be joining the WWE. Now, Joel, I also told you in our last episode that I had conversation with AJ, and he was unsure about making that move. And that conversation happened just above your head in that stairwell. So if you're looking, folks, and at the right side of the ring, why don't you move to your right, Joel, just a skosh. There you go. A skosh. That's way more than a skosh.
I'm sorry. We don't deal with metric over here.
Got it. Anyway, so you look down the right side and you see the red corner. This is obviously an inverted picture. The red corner, go up that stairwell, and that was where AJ and I had the conversation. And he came to me and he asked, this is what I'm doing. You think I'm making the right decision? And me not knowing the backstory or the politics of it or what they had been talking about, I don't know any of the financials, whatever. I just know if you got an opportunity to go into WWE, at that time, you take it. Now, what I had said was, with Vince, you never know. You don't know how they're going to treat you. AJ's not the biggest guy in the world. How is he going to be presented? How is he going to be? Because everybody that goes there is told, we're going to present you a certain way. You're going to make X. You're going to work with so-and-so. This is what you're going to do. And then Vince would change his mind, famously, and you wind up doing something else. So I said that, of course, is always in the conversation, but these long trips and this time that you're missing away from your family, I know is a lot, and you're going to make good guaranteed money, and you're going to make a lot, and you're going to be a big star and a household name, and it's probably the best way to ride off into the sunset for your career in the latter stages of it. So whenever that would happen, that's probably the decision that I would make, and that's what I would advise you. So there you go. We had heard that AJ was leaving. We knew that AJ was leaving. I didn't know the backstory that led into this decision, and then all the changes that happened, One major change, and that was Kenny now is going to become the man in Bullet Club. And that this match put together and everything that happened in it, could Kenny still have made the move up to heavyweight? Yes. Could this finish still have happened here? Yes. But the afterbirth was the change. What happened after the match was the change and the shock and the belief that anything at New Year's Dash can happen, because this is going to be the night of crazy unpredictability. Nobody's ever going to top this. No New Japan New Year's Dash event is ever going to top this in terms of crazy unpredictability. Now, Shinsuke Nakamura, of course, retained the Intercontinental Championship in the victory over AJ Styles the night before. He's still the champ. He's leaving too. His departure is not as immediate as AJ's is going to be. They don't need to book AJ anymore. They'll just beat him up, write him off that way. But Nakamura is homegrown, and he's one of the biggest stars they have, and they're going to make money off of a farewell tour. So he's not leaving for another month or two. And we'll get into that when we get into that. The politics of who do you put the belt on the way out the door and doing business the right way. It's very interesting to me how business was not done, who it wasn't done with, and revisionist history thereof. But nevertheless, yeah. So
Kenny, it was the double. So I think this gets missed quite a lot, because it's I know you said last episode about the roll up, the finish of the Kushida Kenny Omega. It was sort of like a banana peel, etc. Kenny the next night pins Nakamura.
Yes.
Hits him with the finish. So Nakamura is one of the biggest stars, but also one of the largest stars. He's a very tall link with heavyweight. And the minute that you see Kenny Omega pick this guy up for the
one wing
and drop him, that you could hear the gasp, and the fact that no one kicks out of that, got the pin. That was the first surprise. The issue is that builds up elsewhere, but the next bit is so big that it adds to what you've already seen. Kenny didn't take kindly to AJ Styles. Can you believe it, Kevin?
I was torn asunder. I didn't know what to do. I was verklempt. Let's remember, too, politics of Japanese wrestling. Junior heavyweight never beats heavyweight. As far as everybody knew, New Year's Dash, January 5, 2016, Kenny Omega is still a junior, okay? And Shinsuke Nakamura is a heavyweight, the Intercontinental Champion, and he's the freaking man, okay? So this is one of the biggest upsets in New Japan that you could point at ever.
Yeah, and it's in a tag.
A junior heavyweight beating Shinsuke Nakamura with his finish clean in the middle. There you go. Wow.
And you've made someone.
Yeah.
He was already made, but you've made him, and you've got a challenger. You've got something inbuilt. You've got a program. You've got everything. But what does Kenny do? Because surely AJ is going to go off because, but no, the beating that was, sorry, you go, you were
It
there.
was
I
the
was go
it
straight
was a
into the beating.
it was a two-piece promo,
Yes.
right? Because the first was talking about, if memory serves me correctly, being a junior, right?
Yes.
And starving himself to be a junior again, needing to be under the certain weight, and the perception of being a junior and what all that meant. And then the turn, correct?
Yeah. So he cuts
And
this
now you.
promo. Yeah. And but what was so cool was you have these people from Bullet Club running out, and it's like stop. The Bucks come out first, I think. So the birth of the Elite, in theory, that's where it really felt like it was cemented. Then you get the rest of Bullet Club coming out, and it was, I think, probably Gallows and Anderson coming out, because I was a massive Talking Shop fan on MLW when it was just sort of, it had like its own audio company where you were just podcasting. So Cornette was on it. There was a show called Eastern Lariat. Conan had a show, and
By
then
the
there was
way,
also Talking Shop.
there was almost a New Japan podcast on MLW.
Well, Eastern Lariat kind of was, but what was the New
No, this
Japan
was going to
podcast?
be the officially sanctioned New Japan Pro Wrestling podcast that was on MLW, but we didn't get permission from the office to do it.
Go on, name them, because I don't think they were. Would that be May and Craven? No, it would have been before them.
It
It was
was before then.
MLW Audio. Yeah. Oh, that would have been useful. But they didn't. There you
When I
go.
tell you that we pitched 100 ideas,
Yes.
I'm undercounting. I'm forgetting some. And there were things that we were pitching every day, every tour, every week, just to try to get more exposure for New Japan Pro Wrestling on the English side. And more times than not, we were told no. For
That's
a
what's so
variety of
interesting.
reasons, mostly manpower. Well, it's going to take manpower. No, it's not. It's not going to take any manpower. We produce this ourselves. It's all that. Well, who's going to, you don't have to do anything anyway.
Yeah. They're a risk averse nation.
Yes,
I think
they are.
So that's why this is such a big thing. Angle alert, the pin in Nakamura. I think so for me it was Gallows Anderson. They would be doing Stone Cold Steve Austin impressions at the back of the bus, and then AJ Styles would come in and he does a pretty good Ric Flair impression as well. And you were hearing it. Rocky was producing it, so he would come in every now and then. And I think it's the fact that you're hearing these guys together, and then suddenly you're seeing. It still shocks me, Gallows and Anderson putting the boots to AJ. That shows you that you got something pretty good there.
What was their choice?
Oh,
you better start hoofing AJ right now, and apologize later, or you're going to get what he got.
Yeah. Especially when Falik. Did he go?
Thank you. Everyone was out there. I mean, and again, they treated AJ nicely because they could have hit them all with their finishers, but they didn't.
No.
So
no,
it's just
not on this occasion. They needed something to escalate when they kicked another member of the Bullet Club out. But that's what a lot of people remember. But actually, probably the best match on the show came after it, which is I would imagine quite a hard spot after an angle like that. It was Goto and Shibata and Red Dragon against the Chaos team of Barreto, Rocky, Ishii, and Okada.
Mm-hmm.
It got 4 stars, Wrestling Observer newsletter, cage match 7.46. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, New Year's Dash actually had some good action, but this match was actually really good. And you're like, you probably did need a really good match after a very, very angle heavy. To be fair, that tag match was very good as well, but it was very angle heavy. And it did a really good job. And Goto and Shibata with Red Dragon beating Chaos was very, very. It was just interesting. you have possibilities swirl around your head because of, who, what, where, when, and why. Because it was a really good mix. And then to cap it off, your boy, Yano. Now, we have had, so this is where I can actually filter in a fan question. I have already said, so Baba Baba Fauntleroy.
I've been previewed this it's a series of questions.
It is a series of questions, but Baba Fauntleroy, who I've been speaking to on Baba Fauntleroy,
Famous flying
very
Fauntleroys. Yes.
yeah. I believe it. If I can translate this properly, because I believe Baba may be French or Cajun. It actually is Baba Font the Roy. I'm translating that from French for you. You're welcome.
Thanks.
Wants
Well done.
It wants a 7-hour special on the true ace of Toro Yano.
Mm-hmm.
We might struggle, but it's the
Oh, no.
what. How many rolls of tape did he use? What's his personal best record for removing turnbuckles? How much money does he earn from all the sponsorships? It made me think of what's the real heat between Yano and Farley, because they've got rival bars, I believe.
Yes. Well,
So there was a lot on the line.
Fale's was a coffee shop / bar.
Yes.
And Yano's was a straight up bar.
So, but
you would think
there's that rivalry there.
Yeah, and I think we could talk about his speed of undoing the corner pads. Remember, he was a young lion, and years before he became Toru Yano, the master of mirth, the sublime master thief, he was taking off and assembling the rings as a young lion and had this idea to one day use that corner pad as a weapon. Everything that he uses in his weaponry is generally associated with young lion duties. From the water, from the tape, the ice, the corner pad, the aprons, all of those things are railings, all of those things are items that he would have handled as a young lion. And so that all these years later, they would become the main thrust of his offensive attack. Just brilliant. Just brilliant. What goes through these young lions' minds, Joel? Obviously, for Toru Yano, the seeds were sown as he was a young lion carrying the medical equipment and putting the rings together. And one day, he would ascend to the middle of New Japan Pro Wrestling by utilizing all of these items.
And just as another thing, like I've put over quite a lot. Massive fan of Voices of Wrestling. Joe and Rich do the wonderful job there, and also John Pollock at it was Live Audio Wrestling at the time.
Yep,
doing wonderful stuff. But they would always go Toro Yano in the G1. So I remember I messaged you. I was like, "There's a lot of people that are not really into it," and you said, and we'll go through it when I release the WhatsApp tapes. But you basically said it's a night off for a lot of people that are fairly beat up. So effectively, you would not get the G1 final if of such incredible hard hitting stuff, because the tour's so rough. If they didn't have a night off every now and then,
and that's
there were a few like that.
Sure, and guys would say, "Oh, I'm glad I got Yano in my block because at least that's one easy match." And it was but again, he was positioned so smartly as the spoiler.
Yes.
That you could run any upset through him and it would change the standings at, because he might start off hot, then he's going to lose a bunch in the middle, and then he's going to, he's 3-5 going into, or 3-4 going into his last, and he pulls the upset. So he always would wind up around 8 points, and he would always be in that mix of, upset specials and whatever. And So you could be a Shibata and get upset by Yano. You could be a John Moxley and get upset by Yano. It didn't matter. He beat everybody and did it in such a way that nobody got hurt by it, but you just fell to the tricks of the trickster.
And there you go, Baba Fauntleroy. That's just a taste. It's just a taste of the Yano stories.
Right. We've got to get
he's-
into Yano Hiromu when we start talking about the COVID shows and the reason why he haunted Hiromu so much with the scissors and et cetera, et cetera. So back to the days of beating the young lions, shall we say?
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yes. And he's a champion here. Briscoes and Yano defeat Fale and the Bucks. 11 minutes, 3.5 stars. Wrestling Observer newsletter. Just a match, but it meant that that audience was able to see a very noted rivalry of Briscoes and Young Bucks. That's a very, very big rivalry in Ring of Honor, and I think probably one of the longest lasting feuds and one of the most important cool like tag team legacies to come out, because they were always great matches. But also Fale and Yano had some fallings out over the years. It was always an interesting
slap on the bald sweaty head.
Yeah,
is what I remember most.
Yeah.
And again, let's give credit where it's due that, again, Ring of Honor was able to have our guys featured in some high profile matches and positioned in such a way that it helped Ring of Honor business, that it propelled the Ring of Honor storyline. So Rocky and Trent as Roppongi Vice back to the match prior against Red Dragon, that was going to be, something that we did. Briscoes and the Young Bucks, of course, that's an automatic sellout wherever we would go. We try to save that match for like a bigger venue, but that's, that was how all of that was so important and was just a great benefit for Ring of Honor at this time.
And what I've got as like a main sort of ending question here, and as we get to the end, because we've covered New Year's Dash, we've done so much, but what I wanted to really ask you, and I haven't asked you this ever, what was it like doing these shows back to back? You had to then go back to Ring of Honor. What was that like? Was that a come down? Was it like, were you energized? Were you like, I can't wait to the next tour? Was it get me out of here? What was the next day or the next tour for you?
All of us that had been to New Japan summarily agreed that New Japan ruined Ring of Honor for us in the best way possible. None of us wanted to go back to Ring of Honor after dealing with and being a part of such a professional company and you being treated so well, and everything was organized and together and just felt right. And you're there and it's glorious and we don't have a care in the world. And then we go back to Ring of Honor and it's the same old. And it was misery. So it made it worse going back to Ring of Honor. And then, of course, we were just working the phones. Me and Carino were just working the hotline trying to figure out when we're going to go back because, well, Carino would come up later, but trying to figure out when we're going to go next.
Politic, Matt Stryker and Yoshitatsu out. I see what you guys were doing.
Well, okay, so here's what happened. Before Wrestle Kingdom, the decision was made not to use Matt Stryker anymore. Okay. Hattori came to me at the Fan Fest at Ariake Differ.
Is that the
Ariake.
second? Is that the 2nd of January or the 3rd?
3rd.
Okay.
Usually it's the day before.
Yeah.
And it's the press conference event, and it's, big fun, and everybody there has a good time. Our role, I don't think we had one. We might have done a little broadcasting from it. Again, no translator, not really much benefit for it. But anyway, nevertheless, Hattori told me that we were moving on from Matt Stryker, that because of Matt Stryker's work with AAA, we were not going to be able to use Matt Stryker anymore. So this was a common This was a conversation, not common. This was a conversation that I had more than once with Hattori. Hattori says, "Hey, man, Striker, man, AAA, man, no good. CMLL, they don't like. So maybe no more use. Yeah. Who you want? Who you want to do commentary with, man?" So I was like, well, Steve Corino would be my choice. Oh, yeah, man, Corino-san. Yeah. Okay, we'll talk. And then an hour later, Hattori says, "Hey, man, come here." I go, "Yeah, what's up?" "Yeah, man, Matt Stryker working AAA, man, no good. CMLL very upset. We're not going to use, no more Stryker." Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's okay, Tiger. Yeah, let's use Carino. "Oh yeah, man, Stu Carino." Kid you not. I kid you not. That's the way the conversations went. God bless Hattori. I love him so much. We all had conversations like that with him. And
He was all over this show, by the way.
sure, of course.
He was in the ring more often than not, and I would assume it's because of his English. But what that's something that maybe we can explain is the fact that New Japan is, like we said, risk averse. So they are incredibly loyal to their partners, and if they think there might be any heat with any wrestler with any of their partners, they will not go near. So basically,
the third rail of pro wrestling is CMLL and AAA. If you're working with CMLL and you dare think about going to work for AAA, you're done.
And they go in deep because obviously he was working with Lucha Underground, and I don't think New Japan were particularly aware of it being a AAA sort of funded, and also February's Fantastica Mania, and so there were little bits that they weren't necessarily aware of. So that's why that happened.
Hattori told me that it was okay that they knew about it. Just be quiet about it. Don't say anything, and they may not notice. But then Stryker puts out on social media a picture with him and Alonzo from AAA, and that was it. Done.
Yeah, so, you can't do that. But again, I don't, Matt Stryker probably not massively aware of
had no idea.
Not massively aware of that politics. I think sometimes if you're not really deep into the product, you don't necessarily know, and you can have an awareness of the product and watch it, but unless you're really into it, you wouldn't know just how it's not even fanatical, it's just really overly respectful to their partners. So we're seeing that with a lot of AEW. We are
one of the reasons why, and I said this from the start, that there was no way that Shinsuke Nakamura was going to be Hiroshi Tanahashi's last opponent.
Yes.
Even if Tony Khan didn't say boo to a goose about it, he didn't care, he didn't know, whatever, please, you have my blessing. The answer was, the question would not even have been asked.
And that's how New Japan operates, and it's loyalty. And I think that's another thing that I quite like about New Japan. They can be loyal, but to a degree, because obviously that, as we've said before, suits get involved and loyalty goes out the window a little bit, perhaps.
Right. There are a few absolutes when it comes to New Japan, and the one absolute that I can definitely tell you is that if you work for AAA, it is really difficult for you to get back and be able to work for New Japan. Obviously,
and if you worked for AAA, it's hard. You've still got that sort of smear against you potentially, and it would take a lot for you to prove it. It can be very, very tricky. But what's so cool about what we've got now is AAA and CMLL. One's WWE, one's very much AEW. It's split. So New Japan,
part of it is made easier because AAA, they loved stealing guys from the other, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And of course they're in the business of promoting wrestling, and that's what they want to do. But now with their American partners and their American partners being, holding the contracts of a lot of guys, so there's not going to be the ability for them. They may not have anything more than a handshake on somebody, but if they're going to be used on WWE, I'm sure there's some paper that's involved. So it's going to be difficult for CMLL to reach across town and to pull a AAA guy. And you would assume that CMLL has their wrestlers locked up, has them on paper as much as they can, as a safeguard against being purloined by AAA. So because you don't want to embarrass AEW and CMLL. It's a two-way street, right? They would hold New Japan at that same level of respect that New Japan respects them. So there's not another force, another promotion in, like, let's say if the Noah WWE relationship was stronger and a Noah wrestler wanted to be in CMLL, they would say no because you're affiliated with WWE and you need to be over in AAA, because we wouldn't do anything to affect our partnership with AEW. So therefore, Noah wrestler, even though we would like you and it would be nice to have you on our cards and we thank you for thinking of us, you're going to need to go across town and wrestle for AAA.
Yeah, and that's the politics of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And why you and Bob do such a great job with the talent accelerator and do a lot of really important stuff, speaking to promotions and the do's and don'ts and really helping.
A lot of it is just, again, kids today, they don't know. And because their trainers didn't know, because whereas the wrestling business used to be so transactional at the local level, that now it's become bigger and broader. And unless you're in those companies, you don't know how things work and operate. What do I need to do? How do I get there? Well, don't do dumb stuff is number one. And wrestle like it was real. And I read a thing today, that Regal now watches the shows for reality purposes. And he's watching the matches and he wants to see the realism in these, predetermined outcome matches. Very important. And have your fundamentals nailed down cold. Stop trying to be nuanced. Stop trying to be this little tweener guy. No, be a good guy and slap hands with the fans and smile and sell, and be a bad guy and make faces and do terrible things.
Bob Evans asked some really good questions on Facebook. Always worth follow Bob Evans, and he said, "What is the one thing that fans? What do you hate seeing?" And for me, it was people kicking out of pile drivers, because you need to. I think I made the joke that Ishii was actually 6'5" until he took a bunch of pile drivers, and that's why he has no neck and he's about 5'5". But it's the fact that you take them and you should not kick out ever because of everything that's happened, all the neck injuries, that there's so much history behind it that if you get hit, now there are some that are like, I think Mick Foley did the pull up pole driver, which was a bit of a sort of a hope spot where I'm just going to drop you on your head in the hope that, like, it was a hope spot and a big one. But if you're doing the full blown the FTR spike pole driver, that's it. You're dead. You should be out on the stretcher.
That used to be an angle. That used to be, we're stretchering him out, and we're going to have to find a replacement for your tag partner in your upcoming match with FTR, because your partner is now on the shelf after getting the spike pile driver.
Yeah, and for me, that's why it's so important to sort of to have those kind of conversations that Bob's having as well, because it's important as a fan. No one's asking me how I feel about the kick outs, because who am I? But I am someone that's sort of buying a ticket, and I don't really want to be in my intelligence insulted. I want to feel, so when someone does kick out of a pole driver, it means something. It's not just
if you're Road Warrior Hawk and you're no selling a pile driver, That's different.
That is very different.
That's Hawk.
Yeah.
Who looks like Hawk does with these incredible traps, right? 6'4" and 280 and jacked and all these muscles. And the Road Warrior is impervious to pain. This is a demonstration of that. There's a thing that I always call wrestling physics. And wrestling physics is the easily explainable. If I drop you with a pile driver, or if you drop me with a pile driver, the match should be over. Every fan, whether they go to wrestling all the time or never, will tell you that the pile driver is a finishing move. They know it instinctively. And when they see it, if they don't know what it's called, the guy picked him up, he had his head between his legs, and he fell down, and oh my God, his head jammed into the mat. That's the end of the match. Okay? When you do things as wrestlers to change wrestling physics, it makes the fan go, huh? Which is the last response you ever want. You want everything to be spoon-fed. You want everything to be explainable. And you want everything to be justifiable.
Yeah,
the reason
for
he
it to
did
make
this,
sense. Yes.
Correct. So everything has to make sense. And why on the indies are you doing things that don't make sense when the people need things to make sense so that they understand, so that the meal digests without agita? I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? Again, wrestling's comfort food. Give me something that I know and I understand. They will continue to pay for it. Don't think they won't pay for it if we don't give them something they don't expect, right? We can't be lazy. We're not saying that. We have to have movement. We have to be in shape. We have to have energy, and we've got to be there for the comeback, and we've got to, sell appropriately. We've got to do all these things. Our wrestling has got to be good. It's got to look believable when you're, bending the hand back. It's got to look like it hurts. But all of that is part of the meal that the wrestling fan, if you brought people from work, Joel, and they went to a show and it was like, oh, this makes sense. The guy in the white trunks is the good guy and the guy in the black trunks is the bad guy. And the good guy was trying to wrestle, and the black trunk guy was being mean and breaking rules, and it looked like the good guy was going to lose, and he came back and won. You mean wrestling?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it. That's what we tried to. By the way, I do want to go back just to set the stage for where we're going to go. We didn't talk about the finish and the aftermath of Okada and Goto.
Oh, yes. I do apologize because we were
okay. So
very Bullet Club heavy here. Yes.
Yeah. So there's a post-match interview that is going on, and that's where Goto comes in and breaks it up and fights Okada, correct?
Yeah.
Because we needed an opponent for Okada at New Beginning. And at this point, Goto was not in Chaos. He was still part of Hontai. And there was of course, and Goto had the badge on him. He was already wearing the bag that said this guy's bridesmaid, never the bride. So you got the feeling, here's Goto with all the momentum, and now it makes sense of why he beat Tetsuya Naito the night before, that he's going to be the one to challenge Okada. So after a while, once you get to figure out why finishes happen in New Japan, you just need to look forward the next thing. So when Goto beats Naito, the newbie that I was like, that's surprising that Naito, I thought they were going to really give him the push, and instead Goto wins. I wonder why. Oh, because the next night at Dash, he's going to attack Okada, and he's going to be the challenger for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in February. Now it all makes sense. Now I understand.
And also the fact that that's why Goto had to win that. That team had to win to give the idea that they'd won. And that's something that's really good with Goto's booking, because even 10 years later, so Wrestle Kingdom 20, and you've got Jake Lee coming out challenging Yota Tsuji, and Yota Tsuji is laughing. And at Dash, he goes, "No, what have you done? I'm not just because you challenge me doesn't mean I have to accept it. And then you got the Knockout Bros who are like, these teams have come out. You're challenging me. I don't have to pick you. You guys fight, and whoever wins that, you can come after me. And I was like, this is actually really refreshing. And what was even better about the dash from this year was the fact that Shota Umino forearm smashed Ishii in the nose. Ishii got a bloody nose, and he went, so this is make or break time for Shota Umino because he's done something that really got my attention because no one makes Ishii bleed.
Right.
You
Nobody
made
makes
me
Ishii
bleed
bleed
my
his own
own
blood.
blood.
And
Yeah,
thank you. We both said same.
yeah. And the fact that they're all in the ring at the same time, it felt big. And you've got Oscar there, your good friend Oscar, looking big and hench. And man, when he has that bandana around him, he looks like a threat. And I kind of wish he would wrestle with it on. I know that's a weird. He just looks so imposing with it, and
Like
then
Bandito.
a little bit like Bandito, but
But by the way, Bandy is the handsomest wrestler you've ever seen in the world, and it is a crime that he covers up that beautiful face with that mask.
and
Bandy, why do you wear this mask? Oh, brother, we're trying to sell tickets. We're always on him about that.
and
What a
he's
beautiful man Bandito is. Oh my God.
and Dookie
Doki.
probably needs more of a mask to hide.
How dare you?
What? I'm just making a suggestion.
Let's play next time. Let's play needs a mask, doesn't need a mask. How
Now
about
you
that?
know how I feel about masks in wrestling. I think there should be at least one young lion in every graduating class that should come back wearing a mask.
You don't know how many times I wondered out loud if Ren Narita was going to come back as the next Tiger Mask.
I thought well, I think I told you, I was like, is Ren Narita they're not gonna black tiger him, are they? Because I thought, because he
Could
wrestled
have
like
been.
a black tiger. Well, we're gonna have to get into Tiger Mask 4, the ultimate retirement.
Oh yeah,
His big farewell tour. Is he
I
gonna be
know.
lifted? He's not. I don't. Can they lift him up like the Tanahashi treatment?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Well,
Omega's saying he's got tits.
he does.
He's got tits.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to covering Tiger Mask. We'll have to do a Tenzan one as well because he actually deserves a big send off because you've got some stories of him and he's a lovely guy and I can talk about how I met him and it was weird because I was scared of him as a young lad watching wrestling and how I was scared of Tenzan. I can't tell you why, but I met him and I was like, oh, he's just a really quite a nice guy with some awesome
Yeah.
mullety hair and I have time for it. But next time round, so that wraps up our New Year's Dash 2016. There's huge events coming out of it. Bullet Club strong, but in 2026, Kevin, where is Bullet Club? And maybe we put a pin in that, and that's our next episode where we sort of talk about Bullet Club and is it a
Well,
Bullet Club
I mean,
obituary? Is it a?
we're not really. So not much comes out of the New Beginning tour other than the heavyweight title. We're in a transition point with Young Lions. We're about to see something awesome in Fantasticamania. We're still figuring out the send-off for Nakamura. And Gallows and Anderson are still around. They haven't left yet. Everything kind of feels in flux. And then you could almost jump from Dash to the New Japan Cup in terms of importance of time, because between Dash and the New Japan Cup, we say goodbye to Shinsuke Nakamura and Gallows and Anderson. So we lost AJ after New Year's Dash, and then in the month of February, we're going to say goodbye to Nakamura and Gallows and Anderson.
And obviously needed to be done so they could complete that massive Fantasticamania tour. Do you want to cover Fantastic Mania next time round? Do you want to? No?
I mean,
Oh,
you could give me some results and we can talk about it, and I could talk about rumors that I heard and things like that, stories. But there you go.
yeah. We'll cover more of Bullet Club from that time and the effects of Bullet Club had on the industry, but also the fact that it's in a bit of a flux at the moment, and people seem to be doing their nut about it because you've got the offshoots and you've got the who is it, who is in, who is out, and there's a lot. But faction wars of this is kind of what happens in when you are running faction wars and then you have breakout stables. It all becomes a huge mess, and I think the cycle has to refresh a bit. We're already an
I
Lij
mean,
down.
it
It's
was
weird seeing
destined to
Shingo
go the route of the NWO.
massively. Yes,
Destined to go that route because it was a spoof on the NWO. Through it became stars and star-making performances and controversy and all kinds of things, but it was always done with a nod and a wink, and that was the beauty of it. And we got 12 years out of the
huge
joke.
merch, huge merch.
Oh my
And
God,
also the
huge
biggest
merch.
joke, my favorite joke, and I don't think I don't know if you can find out if this was a rib, but Jay White becoming Switchblade, he became a knife in a gunfight. Like it's the Bullet Club. He's the knife guy, surrounded by guns.
I never thought about that.
See, that's why. See, I should have been the analyst. What? I should have
By
been
the way,
Yoshitatsu.
Michael Craven at one point got a wild hair up his ass and said that we can't play the Bullet Club theme anymore because it talks about gun violence.
There you go. So, Mike, we'll just filter them in. I
That
feel like that's
lasted.
a mild one. That's a mild one.
That
But
lasted like a show.
yeah, I mean that's a mild one. I think it gets a little bit fruity. I'm looking forward to Royal Quest where we can really go into
just keep
details.
dropping them in, and I'm going to continue to drop them in so that anybody who says, "Oh, they weren't,"
We can get
Just-
there's the statute of limitations is gone mostly because they got fired, as your dance moves with Gado says. So we could probably we can ask around. We can ask around a couple of folks and
Fale
get some
says,
quotes.
Kevin, you're not going to believe this. What? They just got fired. Who? Maine, Craven, and all of them. What? Yeah. Oh, Gato comes by. Oh, you heard the news? Happy days are here again. Oh,
Yes.
get goosebumps just thinking about it.
We'll cover that. We can actually cover that when we do a bit of a Bullet Club stories thing, because you've probably got quite a few. But I think there was I heard a rumor once that May wanted he wanted something to do with Bullet Club to steer away from a couple of things. I don't think it was gun violence, but I think it was sort of the too sweet, a couple of the mannerisms. That was one of the things that had been bandied around. I think some of the forums back in it. I'm going to have to get back on it.
He's
I
the
don't want to go
president of
back
New
in.
Japan. He's the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling. He showed up at the office Halloween dressed in full costume of some weird alien.
Yes, this is what you want, and the pictures will be out there, and we will try and find them, ladies and gentlemen. That's what our Instagram and Facebook feeds are for. So follow us, please. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. We've gone over 100 subscribers.
Yeah.
It's gone so quick. I've really enjoyed interacting with folks.
When fans stumble across this podcast. And again, we're trying our best to promote this, with no backing, no follow up, no follow through. And it's like, how can we tell people without this budget or this big machine behind us? It's just word of mouth. And Joel's doing a lot on social media and so we're doing our thing. But again, for each of you who has reached out and said, wow, Kevin, I love this new pod. It's so awesome, and the stories are great. And what a time it was. Thank you so much. It really means a lot, because I'll be honest with everybody. I couldn't care less about doing another podcast that had no audience, right? I'll talk with Joel 10 times a day, twice on Sunday, doesn't matter. He and I will chop it up just like we do here. But to spend this time with all of you, knowing that you're interested in this means everything to me. And it's the reason why I want to do it.
Yeah, we're not in it for the money, but it would be very nice.
We'll take the money.
We'll take it.
If
hey,
you would like to sponsor,
yeah.
If you would, you want to sponsor us, let us know.
I keep on at Quilden. I was like, we're exactly the audience that you want. Damn it, come on. But obviously, tight pockets Quilden over there. And then
high pockets. He can't get his hands to the money.
Yeah. He can't get his hands to his phone to reply to me. That son of a bitch.
Of course.
Because what the other thing we want to do is we want to be able to give interviews. Now we're a little bit tied with sort of who can and can't speak to podcasts, because it is a very tight ship in New Japan. So we're not really going to get anyone on the roster, but there's a lot of lovely people that are outside of it. And I wanted to speak to Quilden because I wanted to speak to him about booking Tanahashi, which was hopefully I can bully him into it. Mostly that will be like, but Kevin will be there. And then he'll be like, oh, Kevin's going to be there. I better be there. People love you, Kevin.
Thank you.
People love you.
It's nice to be loved.
I'm just lucky Joel. I got to know you, and I really appreciated you more as an announcer than a friend.
Guy? Oh, it's Boy Simmons' friend. What's up with this guy? He's a bit of a pain, but it's all right. Tell him to go away if he bothers you. No, he's all right. He's fine.
Yeah. I was asked on the A Squared Wrestling podcast, which was Quilden and Simmons' podcast that didn't last long, and I went on.
Didn't last long enough.
No, they invited me. I did a that was one where I read Simmons' notes where it said Cody Hall's coming out, and I don't think he appreciated me reading his notes. I was like, well, it's hard to hide him away. He's like 6'7". But I was on the podcast. It's like, why does Andy Simmons have you hanging around? He doesn't like people. I don't know. Why do you ask me? But Simmons, he's a massive supporter of this podcast. He absolutely loves it. He loves the song by Ben, Casabianca at Home. He tells me all the time. I've spoken to Ben this evening, and he's telling me various issues, and I said, "You're Ben Casabianca. People love your music. Don't worry." And I love that guy so much so that I've created a sting, which hopefully you'll see at the start of videos from now on with a bit of his music. The one thing I didn't want to do is put a full 3-minute song going through to get us to the podcast.
Well, wait a minute. What if you just released the full 3-minute song with our graphic there and how you can find us?
That's a good idea. I want to get that in writing.
Please, you got to get Ben to sign off on this, but because I want to make sure that we're doing everything right by him. That if he's supposed to get paid, that he needs to get paid. But there's paperwork that needs to be done. Of course, it can be done, but it's a bit of a pain in the neck.
Oh no, there's no paperwork. He's from the Canary Islands. There's no paperwork.
But I mean, in terms of YouTube.
Yeah, and that's one of the things where it's hard for me. So I briefly sort of touched on it. YouTube is kind of my work, so it's really hard. I've got to be.
They just speak in clicks and whistles.
Yeah. Yes, dear.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Good.
That's how you get a hold of Ben
again.
When you call Ben on the phone. Oh no, wait, that's the Easter Islands. I'm sorry, I got my islands wrong. I apologize.
You have, yes. Oh dear Lord. But no, that was one. I'm very, very happy that you got that in. And that's improv theatre from Kevin Kelly, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, and. So we're going to yes and you. We're going to say goodbye for now. Thank you very much. And we will see you next time where we will talk about 2016 Bullet Club and all those fun things, and hopefully we'll have a few quotes from some very important people that were there. We'll see what we can come up with. But until next time, I'm Joel, but this is Kevin Kelly. Sorry. Bye.